want to especially recognize Comrade Kitty Riley, who's in the house today. It's so great to see you, Kitty. And I also want to welcome our Chairman Amalia Shatella, who is here today as well, who you'll be hearing from later today. I also want to take a moment to introduce my co-MC, which is President Lucade Maku, who is the international president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, who is now located right here in St. Louis, Missouri. You're going to be hearing more about Impedum today, as well as our many other organizations, the tables that are represented here. And just a few housekeeping rules, please. We could ask everybody to put their phones on silent and or vibrate. The restrooms are over here to the right, and there are refreshments in the back. So please make sure to help yourself. It's going to be a really, really, really great day. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Yeah, I also want to recognize the president of APDF and the architect of the Black Power Blueprint programs, Onazane Yeshitela, who is here today. We will hear much more about the work of the Black Power Blueprint and how you can participate in it later in the program. We really appreciate everyone for coming out to this very important event today. We want to welcome those who are joining us in person and also online. Uhuru. We know there are other types of events being held today, but we believe none better represents the legacy of the struggle of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Was involved in up until his assassination than this event. We are going to kick off this event with a video that includes historic film footage of MLK and our community struggle for self-determination. We really appreciate this video because it puts the work of MLK in the context of the struggle of African people from the moment European colonizers first set foot on the continent of Africa up through the Black Power movement. At the end of this program today, we will be opening up the mic for your contributions. So please make note of any comments or questions that you have. So with that being said, please start the video. Uhuru.
Human civilization began in Africa and flourished for thousands of years. African people had developed sciences, healthy communities, a prosperous economy, and rich culture. When Europeans were poor and hungry in the 1400s, they attacked Africa and began 600 years of theft, enslavement, rape, and overall oppression of African people. The European and U.S. economies were built off of African labor and resources stolen at gunpoint. Africans have always resisted this oppression, from Queen Nzinga, who led armies to hold off slavers in West Africa for 30 years, to Harriet Tubman, who led over 300 enslaved Africans to freedom in the U.S., to Marcus Garvey, who in the early 1900s built an organization with over 11 million members and supporters, United for African Freedom and Independence. Even after the U.S. officially ended chattel slavery, there were laws to keep Africans locked into an unjust parasitic social system. But the African community fought this too. In the segregated South, the African community was increasingly resisting the extreme oppression from the U.S. government and white society. A turning point in this resistance, which gave birth to the civil rights movement of the 1950s, was the Montgomery bus boycott.
It started with a woman named Rosa Parks in Montgomery. And Montgomery, like all of the South, had segregated buses. In interstate buses like this one, and in city buses, the whites sat in the front, the blacks in back. If more whites got on, the blacks had to give them the middle and back seats too. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white passenger.
The front seats were occupied, and there's one man, a white man, standing. And then at this point, the driver asked us to stand up and let him have those seats. And when none of us moved at his first words, he said, "Y'all make it light on yourselves and let me have those seats." And when the policeman approached me, one of them spoke and asked me if the driver had asked me to stand. I said, yes. He said, "Why don't you stand up?" I said, "I don't think I should have to stand up." And I asked him, I said, "Why do you push us around?" He said, "I do not know, but the law is a law and you're under arrest."
This was not the first time a black person had defied the bus segregation in Montgomery. It was not Mrs. Parks' first time. It was her first arrest. Edie Nixon went to the police station to bail her out. Edie Nixon and other black leaders called for a one-day bus boycott. In some cities, it would have been impossible to organize 40,000 people in 2 days. But Black Montgomery had a core of activists in the Women's Political Council, and they distributed these boycott notices all over the city.
But the bus passed right down in front of my house, you know, and I got up to see it, and several buses passed. I was late for work because I was trying to see how many buses was empty, and they were totally empty.
The one-day boycott was a success. That night, a mobilized black community turned out for a meeting at the Holt Street Baptist Church and voted unanimously to continue the boycott. The keynote speaker at Holt Street Church was a new preacher in town, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was only 26 and was almost unknown outside his own congregation. King wasn't sure he should accept when his fellow ministers and other leaders asked him to head the new Montgomery Improvement Association and the boycott. But they wanted him in part because he was new in Montgomery. Before the boycott, 2/3 of the bus riders were black. After December 5th, there were almost no blacks at the segregated bus stops or on the buses. They walked, and they created a complex system that used private cars to carry thousands of people each day.
We asked for persons who had cars and would voluntarily put them in the transportation pool to let us know and what time they could be used. And in that way, we could know when we would have cars and where they had to go to pick up people. People would call in and say, "I'm out here on Cloverdale Road in such a block, and I'll be ready at such and such a time." But this was being done all through the day, and we would know what time they were supposed to be picked up and where they were.
It was really surprising because we thought, well, maybe some of the people would continue to ride the bus. But after all, they had been mistreated in so many different ways until I guess they were tired, and they just decided that they just wouldn't ride.
The black community was inspired by its own success. They held meetings with the mayor and the bus company and found they could stand up to the city commissioners. The boycott's second Christmas was approaching. Downtown stores were hurt, but neither the city nor the marchers would compromise. On November 13, 1956, the U.S. Supreme Court broke the deadlock, ruling unanimously that Montgomery's bus segregation was unconstitutional. That day, the Ku Klux Klan rode and walked the black neighborhoods again. This time, the blacks just watched, unmoved and unafraid.
The decision rendered by the Supreme Court yesterday was a victory. But it wasn't a victory for colored folks. Don't make that victory that small. It wasn't a victory for 50,000 Negroes of Montgomery. It wasn't merely a victory for 16 million Negroes of America. That was a victory for justice and goodwill. Now, what will be our mode of action in the light of this decision? After thinking through this question very seriously, The Executive Board of the Montgomery Improvement Association recommends that the 11-month-old protest against the city buses will be called off, and that the Negro citizens of Montgomery, Alabama will return to the buses on a non-segregated basis. Are you ready for the question? All in favor, let it be known by standing on your feet. It seems that it is carried unanimously.
If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with the pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968 by the U.S. government under COINTELPRO, the FBI's counterintelligence program. But that was not the end. From the civil rights movement of the 1950s emerged the Black Power movement of the 1960s, headed by powerful leaders such as Malcolm X.
We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the Pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We were brought here against our will. We were not brought here to be made citizens. We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today. Because we weren't brought here to be made citizens today, now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness. If you're interested in freedom, you need some judo, you need some karate, you need all the things that will help you fight for freedom. Nationalism is the wave of the present and the future. It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and to the Ghanaians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the people of Uganda and Tanganyika and Sudan and Somaliland. The Africans didn't get it by sitting in. They didn't get it by waiting in. They didn't get it by singing "We Shall Overcome." They got it through nationalism. And you and I will get it through nationalism. What is it? What is it that makes it difficult for the philosophy of nationalism to spread among the so-called Negroes? Number one, they think they have a stake in America. They think they have an investment in this country, which we do. We invested 310 years of slave labor, 310 years, every day of which your and my mother and father worked for nothing. Not 8 hours a day. There was no union in that day. They worked from sun up until sundown, from can't see in the morning until can't see at night. They never had a day off. And on Sunday, they were allowed to sit down and sing about when they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. When they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. They'd go up in the sky, and every day would be Sunday. That's a shame. And it is that 310 years of slave labor that went in, that was my and your contribution into this particular economy and political system. They can give us the back pay. Let's join in. If this is what the Negro wants, let's join in. Let's show him how to struggle. Let's show him how to fight. Let's show him how to bring about a real revolution. Let's make him stop jiving. You don't need a debate. You don't need a filibuster. You need some action.
By the end of 1969, the U.S. government had killed Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and more than 28 members of the Black Panther Party, including Chairman Fred Hampton, one of its most important leaders, and many other courageous African leaders. But the Uhuru movement, under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, has never stopped struggling to keep the Black Power movement alive. The Uhuru movement has moved forward on many fronts to lead the work to win African freedom and self-determination today. As Black Panther leader Huey P. Newton said, "You might not have the Black Panther Party, but you have the Uhuru House. You might not have the Black Panther newspaper, but you have the burning spear." So they haven't done anything by crushing one organization.
Uhuru. Great, that was great. And now I'd like to bring up our keynote speaker. As was mentioned in the film, Chairman Omali Yeshitela is the living legacy and leader of the Black Power movement today. Having started as a leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in St. Petersburg, Florida, he has taken the political theory guiding the work of the 50s and 60s and developed it into African internationalism that provides theoretical leadership for African people worldwide to fight for and win our liberation. He is the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and chair of the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. His presentation at Oxford Union on African unity has been revered worldwide, and we are proud to welcome him here today. Chairman Omali Yeshitela.
I want to express my appreciation to everybody who's come out, and especially to the people who are associated with the Black Power Blueprint, Comrade First Combatant, Deputy Chairwoman Una Zanea Shatella, all of you. I'm also very happy to see here today, someone has mentioned it already, but Comrade Kitty Riley.
Yes.
Who is one of the people who've been with this movement for decades, and who was one of the first people to come here with Comrade Deputy Chair Una Zanea Shatella when we started this process of building the Black Power Blueprint. And so welcome back, Comrade Catherine. It's good to see you. I mentioned Kitty because she's been experiencing a real serious health issue. But the fact is that we have declared ourselves to be relentless. And even in the pursuit of good health, we don't surrender.
Yes.
We do not surrender. So we say no compromise,
No.
no surrender. Uhuru. With Catherine, of course, it's her daughter Emerald. Emerald is a white, red, black, and green diaper baby. She grew up in the movement and cut her teeth in the movement. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. Today, we are talking about a day of service because we want to recruit everybody who's here to participate in the work that was being advanced by Dr. Martin Luther King. So I'm not going to try and say too much about King. Most of you, if you don't know anybody else, you know something about Dr. Martin Luther King, because the United States government, after killing him, emasculated what he was really about and fed African people and people around the world garbage about who he was in a way to use his legacy against us. You probably know that he wasn't born Martin Luther King, that he only became Martin Luther King formally in 1957. This is after the Montgomery bus boycott had concluded. He was born Michael King. His father was Michael King Sr. And his father made a trip to Germany. And in Germany, he discovered Martin Luther. Martin Luther was somebody who was responsible for the Protestant Reformation, the assault on the Catholic Church as it existed, because the Catholic Church was the Christian church. And it had many of the same kinds of contradictions then that it has now. I don't know if they were raping children back then, but I do know that they were involved in a lot of other things that were oppressive. And Martin Luther is one who initiated the movement that the protest, that's where Protestant comes from. It was a protest against the Catholic Church as it was. So Dr. Michael King Sr., Reverend Michael King Sr., was so impressed by the legacy of Martin Luther, and in many ways the resistance of Martin Luther to all that was wrong in the system that was presided over at that time by the Catholic Church. So he changed his name, and he changed his son's name. And his son formally changed that himself in 1957. So that's how he became Martin Luther King Jr. as opposed to Michael King Jr. But I'm sure most people understood that. And I think that it's really important for us to recognize that King himself, it says something about the significance of names, because we've been given names of our oppressors. That's how we got to be Johnsons and Jones and Smiths and Wallers and things like this, because the white man, the white people, because it wasn't just white men, the white people who owned us gave to us their names. Like they would name their horses or chickens or any other thing that they owned, they named us. That's how my last name was characterized as Waller when I was born. My father's last name was Waller, as he understood it, because as Malcolm X and the original Nation of Islam would say, we didn't know what our last names were. That's where they came, Malcolm X. That's where the X come from. It stands for unknown. And that's really important for us to recognize, because it put us in pursuit of our identity. And that was the thing that was really critical about the founding of the Nation of Islam. I didn't agree with much of what the Nation of Islam was about, but I agreed with much of what it was about. And what it was about in terms of recognizing that we are a people, we are a nation. It wasn't called the race of Islam, it was called the nation of Islam. It was a part of the project to put us back into history, because they take you out of history when they take your nationality from you and impose their nationality on you. So you don't even have the ability to fight against your national oppressor because you think you are one of them. So how are you going to fight Mr. Jones if you think you are Mr. Jones? How are you going to fight against your oppressor when you have the same identity that the oppressor has? So this is something that is contained in the struggle that we've been involved in for a long time. And so they took Martin Luther King. They took certain things from Martin Luther King and then made it something they used against us. They took the whole concept, like Martin Luther King talked about nonviolence. And so if they see people who are fighting to resist their oppression, then that meant that we were against King. So they would use King against us in that fashion, but they did not love Martin Luther King. Because that's Martin Luther King didn't just say be nonviolent. He said be nonviolent when you're struggling to overturn the oppression that we experience. Martin Luther King should be characterized primarily as somebody who mobilized African people to struggle against our conditions. And that put him in a particular contradiction with the United States government that could only maintain this relationship with African people through extreme violence itself. So, but King understood the question of colonialism, even though he didn't talk that much about colonialism. King, for example, was in Ghana. When Ghana achieved independence from England, King was there. He was there among the others who came to Africa. Black people from all around the world went to Ghana. The black people, because we see black people standing up and achieving our destiny as a free and self-determining people. King was there. King understood. You heard Malcolm X, I think, mention Algeria. King met with Ben Bella, who was a leader of the Algerian Revolution and the first president of Algeria after Algeria is in North Africa. And so after liberation was won, King was there. So he understood the question. Make no mistake about it. He wasn't just a Georgia preacher. He had an international outlook. He was able to see the oppression of African people, not just Africans. And because King was one of the people who came after the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. SNCC is the organization that initiated the first major opposition to U.S. murder in Vietnam in this country. It was SNCC who coined the term, hell no, we won't go. You're not going to be able to draft us to go into this army. That's where Cassius Clay, in the process of becoming Muhammad Ali, he said, I'm not going to Vietnam to fight a yellow man who is being killed by the white man who is oppressing black people here in the United States. He said, ain't no Vietnamese ever called me nigger. That was Cassius Clay. That was in the process of becoming Muhammad Ali. So the point that I'm making is that King was a part of a larger process. It was not just in Atlanta. It was not just a Montgomery-based struggle he was a part of. He was part of a struggle of oppressed people around the world and knew it. And the fact that he decided to act in a certain way was based in part on his own philosophy. And the philosophy that has been challenged in a very serious way, to the point that at one juncture, he was able to say that he feels like he was integrating his people, us, into a burning house because America was on fire. And it was on fire because of the resistance of oppressed people all around the world. And the only reason the resistance of oppressed people around the world could cause the fire in this country was because this country rested on a foundation of oppression, not only of African people here, but of the indigenous people who are called Indians, who you don't ever see, who live in concentration camps that they call the Indian reservations today. Isn't that right? Yeah. You don't even hear anybody talking about them unless they're in the house. But they are here. And near genocide was committed against the indigenous people in the process of creating this entity that we recognize as America, because here's a fundamental contradiction. Because this is a settler colony. That colonialism comes in different ways. Colonialism is when a foreign and alien power state takes control of the lives of another people, take away from them, kidnap from them, take their capacity to produce and reproduce life for themselves. That's something that has been absconded, that has been taken away from them. And the problem is, especially, there is a thing called settler colonialism. It's different from the colonialism, if you will, that England exercised when it went to Nigeria, or that France exercised when it went to 50 some odd entities that they call countries in Africa. Because here you had a situation where the white man left France, left England, and then went someplace else, and the task was to send what they were stealing in Vietnam, stealing from Africa, back to France and back to England. That's what the Europeans who came here first. They didn't come here to stay. They were sent by England and by other European countries to do what? To steal the resources here and send it back to them. Except they got here and said, hell, this is a good deal. Why send it back to England? That's where the whole concept of taxation without representation, you taxing us, and we don't have any power in England anymore. This is the stuff we stealing. We should be able to keep it. And that's something that was translated even further down the road when the United States captured and took the territory that they call Panama. There was a president called Theodore Roosevelt. You know who I'm talking about. You might not know you know who I'm talking about, but every time you see something called a teddy bear, it's named for Ted Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. And Roosevelt said about Panama, he said, it's ours. He said, we stole it fair and square. And that's the history that we are looking at in terms of how the relationship between the people exists. And so they had this incredible leader, Martin Luther King, who, despite the fact that he wasn't talking explicitly about overturning the government, he wasn't talking explicitly about being against colonialism, but he became the most popular black man on earth, every place around the world. But he was hated inside this country. He was hated by white liberals like Johnson, like Kennedy's, etc., people who worked and conspired to murder him, tried to make him commit suicide. You know, people like to remember that J. Edgar Hoover, who was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is the domestic secret political police inside this country, he was a bad man. He was real bad. He did all these horrible things. But Hoover was part of the government. He wasn't somebody who was dropped into this country, Venezuela. He wasn't dropped in this country by the Russians. He was a part of the United States government. And he did everything he could to besmirch first and then to kill King. And he ultimately killed King. He participated in killing Malcolm X. Because Malcolm X and King were supposed to be such polar differences. But the thing that united both of them is that they were fighting for the liberation of African people, and they were honest. They were not like Jesse Jackal. They were not like Al Charlatan, who worked for the United States government. You know, Jackal became somebody who represented the United States government in Africa. When he went to Africa, he wasn't working for black people. King went to Africa. He went to unite with the struggle for African people to be free. Charlatan, he was an instrument and is today of the Democratic Party as well. King never was a member of the Democratic Party. If he was, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't say, vote for the Democratic Party. He might have said, you should support this program that would end our exploitation, our oppression, but you didn't see him out there campaigning to vote for the Democratic Party like you saw Charlatan and the Jackal. So, of course, they killed King because King was dangerous. But they saw Aretha Franklin as dangerous. They saw any African people who had independent influence with the African community as dangerous. And so you had FBI on all of them. Eartha Kitt, FBI on all of them because they had independent respect among African people. O.J. Simpson, all of you knew that, or even the dog knew that O.J. Simpson killed that white woman and that man. But you ask any African, did he do it? Nope. I mean, no. And the reason they said no is because they recognized that finally somebody got a lick in. Because and white people were screaming, look at the evidence, and we were saying, when has evidence ever made any difference? Now you're going to make evidence a factor. How many people in prison, this was necessary, all you had to do was show up and be black. If you didn't show up, they come to get you and then be black. So this is the reality. We experience this reality differently. Black people do. Obama, as a sellout, we loved Obama. People did. We voted for him because he was black. You had a lot of Negroes saying, no, I didn't vote for him because he was black. You're lying. That's exactly why. We just needed somebody who could stand up. Somebody who could stand up next to these white people as much as they had talked bad about us, how ignorant we are. We can hear you had this Negro who's standing up there and was being able to be equal with all of them. But Obama was a plant. So that's okay. We deal with that because the problem was not his complexion. Never was his complexion for us. Because we've never been opposed to somebody just because they're white. If we don't like white people, it ain't because they're white. It's because what the hell they do to us and what they have done to us. And if they didn't do it, we stood by and cheered on. And if they cheered on, they stood by and said about what was happening to us. That's why white people got in trouble with black folks. And also because y'all got all our babies' food in your refrigerators. Y'all got all the resources that we work for on the south of the Delmar. That's why we're poor on the north side, is because what we created for us on the south side. That's the way it is in the world. That's what colonialism does. And colonialism makes it necessary, especially settler colonialism. And here is a problem that they're faced with today, is that by 2045, they predict that white people will be a minority in this country. Now, he done stole the people's territory, stole the people's land, etc. And now it's beginning to be obvious who the real criminals are. And so you're going to be a minority by 2045. That creates a crisis here. That's the thing that makes it necessary for them to send troops at the southern border of the United States to keep Mexicans and other people from whom you've stolen this land from being able to get to the country. That's the thing that makes it necessary for them to put so many African young people in prison. It's a form of birth control to make sure that we don't make enough babies to maintain this projection toward a demographic transformation inside this country. And so that's the kind of stuff we're looking at. I just want to say that they killed King, and then, and this was real serious. To show just how serious the death of King was. I'm glad we're doing this on here right now on the birthday of King, because nobody talks about the murder of King. There ain't no holiday around his assassination. So they killed King, who was doing so much. And I had problems with King. Let me tell you this. I didn't know King, but I knew his brother, A.D. King. I knew Ralph David Abernathy, who was his left-hand man. I knew people like Jose Williams, and Say Ali back here had relatives who were part of King's inner circle. So we knew them. And if you talk about a time where the movement, there were connections, all kinds of connections crossing these lines, etc. And King was different, and SCLC was different. And I didn't agree with them, but I know that I can knock on the door in Atlanta because we were a poor organization and SCLC was not. If I could knock on the back door and Dorothy Cotton would open the door and say, look, sis, we need these materials to put out our newspaper. And she would sneak and give us all these materials that they had. And that was the same thing true in different places around the country with these forces, because we had different kinds of relationships with each other. Only one you couldn't do that with, well, most of the time. Sometimes you could even do it with the NAACP, with the members of the NAACP, with the members. So they killed King because of what he was doing. And you know, when they killed King, it was when he was in the process of building this Poor People's Campaign, where he had called on people. He wasn't talking about voting. He wasn't talking about this party, that party. He said, we're going to Washington, D.C. He said, we're going to tie it up. We're going to go to the airports. We're going to lay on the runway so no planes can land. This is what King was doing. He was saying, until we get something from this government that would help to feed, clothe, and house our people, that would end this oppression, exploitation of our people and other poor people in this country. That's what King, that was what he was on the way to doing. And of course, they killed King. And then they killed King and then give us a holiday. Yeah. So they killed King, and now you have a day off to get drunk and party around that. That's what happens. You have barbecues and do all this other kind of stuff, but you don't have no king. Right. And you don't have no poor people's rights that King was fighting for. Right. You don't have any of the stuff that King fought for. Nothing. In fact, it's worse today than it was when they killed King, because at least when they killed King, you had a movement that was fighting for it. So they killed King, and they killed King to destroy our movement. They give us a holiday, and that's bad enough. But after they give us a holiday, you have these people who hijacked his memory and say, now they're going to remember Martin Luther King. You know, Stevie Wonder, happy birthday, happy birthday. You know, they hijack his memory and then say that this, in memory of Martin Luther King, we're going to have a day of service. Huh? That's what they said we're going to have. But King was not about the day of service in the way they meant it. He was about resistance, building a new world, a new life, just like Malcolm X was. A new world, just like the Black Panther Party, a new world, a new life. That's what he was about. That's what this is about today. They hijacked it, we've taken it back. Yeah. And this is an opportunity for everybody who is participating here, either directly in this room, via social media, anybody who can see us and experience this meeting today, to get on board. Let's do what Martin Luther King talked about. He went to the mountaintop and he had great vision from up. That's the height. Take the high road. That's a military understanding. You want to be able to have the high ground. And King went to the high ground. And he said that I may not get here with you. He said that the very day before he was killed, didn't he? He made that speech. Anybody ever watched that speech the day before he was killed? King knew he was going to die. They had been trying to get him to commit suicide. They had been doing all kinds of stuff to kill King before then. They had bugs in his toilet, in his bedroom, everywhere he went. And he said, I may not get here with you, but I know that we as a people, he said, I've been to the mountaintop, but get to the promised land. And we as a people will get to the promised land, and they haven't seen the mountaintop. We're inviting other people to join us on this mountaintop and to volunteer to participate in these programs that will neutralize, eliminate the whole colonial oppression that Africans and other people around the world are experiencing today. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you, Chairman. That was absolutely fantastic. Uhuru, yes, yes. And next on our program, we want to again salute APEDF President Onizane Ishatella and the work that she has led here in St. Louis building all of the programs and the institutions that make up the Black Power Blueprint. So to do that, we're going to show a brief video highlighting the 2025 year in review of the Black Power Blueprint. Uhuru.
The Gary Brooks Black Power Community Garden had its 6th year, planting and cultivating 1,000 pounds of fresh veggies distributed free to the community. For 11 months, we fought the city for a permit to open the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe to bring healthy food and employment into a food desert. The community supported us every step of the way. We renovated the building, hiring contractors from our community and with many volunteers. We completed the building and began baking the delicious Uhuru pies, selling them at Soul Art Market and pop-ups around town. The whole hood is hooping at the Black Power Vanguard's basketball court. On May 16th, an EF3 tornado 23 miles long and 1 mile wide hit St. Louis, smashing thousands of homes in the Black community. The city neglected to activate the warning sirens, and 7 people were killed. The next morning, Uhuru Movement leaders walked the streets to check on our people. Our community immediately demonstrated powerful resilience and unity. In less than 48 hours, we distributed free hot meals, set up a charging station, mobilized volunteers for cleanup, tree removal, and painting. Over 450 volunteers continued this work for months. The city again neglected the Black community. The Uhuru House became a resource hub, distributing truckloads of donated food, water, and supplies. We spoke out against the city's neglect and confronted the mayor in public meetings, which emboldened our community to fight for resources that are rightfully ours. NINA, the Northside Independent Neighborhood Association, hosted a block party at the Black Power Blueprint Caribou Outdoor Event Space to celebrate the resilience of our Black community. Three fundraising events for Black Power Blueprint sponsored by the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Give St. Louis Day, benefit for the North Side at the Work and Leisure Event Space, and the 7th Annual Giving Tuesday Reparations Telethon. The Affordable Housing Program and the Reparations Investment Company are renovating abandoned properties to rent and sell to our community. Renovation that contends with gentrification. We hosted our annual N2U Volunteer Appreciation event to celebrate hundreds of volunteers, the heart and soul of the Uhuru movement. All of the growth of the Black Power Blueprint is because you make it happen. There is so much more to come. In 2026, we will complete construction and plant the Shambhala Uhuru Freedom Farm on West Florissant Avenue between the basketball court and the Uhuru Bakery. We will complete the renovation of the Black Power 94 FM community radio station and begin broadcasting music and information and offer comprehensive skills training. We will complete renovations of the Buy Black Power building, a retail store offering custom products, and a workshop for the African Independence Workforce Program. AIWP supports African people returning from prison with housing, job training, and work experience. AIWP trains artists to produce Enzo African art and home decor and partners with the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. Uhuru Bakery and Cafe will soon be a sit-down restaurant offering healthy food, a vibrant cultural gathering space, and workforce training, employing local residents to revitalize commerce on the North Side.
Uhuru means freedom!
Uhuru Hopefully that video gives you just a glimpse of the work that is being done today right here in St. Louis to put power back in the hands of our community to be self-determining. And now at this part of the program, we will give you, in the next part of the program, we will give you information on how you can get involved. We will have 7 organizations presenting today, giving very brief 3-minute presentations about why you should sign up to volunteer and what they need volunteers to help them accomplish. Following these brief presentations, we will open up the volunteer fair portion of the program, and you'll be able to walk around and get more information and sign up. So to kick off the presentations, okay, all right, will be Ruby. All right, Uhuru.
Next slide. Uhuru. I'm Ruby, and under the leadership of ABDF President Onizane Yeshatela, the Black Power Blueprint Promotions Team is creating a new media that documents the reality of the conditions of the Black working class community on multiple platforms and highlights the powerful Black Power Blueprint African self-reliance programs that are uplifting every aspect of life in this community. Everyone who participates in this project helps expose the truth of the decades of neglect that the city tries to cover up. We're on the spot documenting the programs to bring healthy food to a food desert, to renovate abandoned buildings, to provide affordable housing, to create training and meaningful employment that contributes to the development of our entire community. While all of this is happening in real time, we tell the stories of the people and institutions who are making change happen now. The promotions team is responsible to tell the world about these victories and show what African self-determination looks like today. Next slide. Are you a photographer, videographer, video editor, social media promoter, graphic artist, designer, writer, photo archivist? Do you have experience in webinar or newsletter production? Join the Black Power Blueprint Promotions team. Come to our table in the back and sign up. There are projects that everyone can do in person or remote, skilled or learning. We are particularly looking for local people here in St. Louis to help record this exciting work. Schedule an orientation to get started, and you're invited to participate in a 1-hour meeting twice a month for regular updates, to getting assignments, to view and learn from all the work that's going on. Next slide. This slide shows some of the recent work by some of the members of the promotions team who make short videos, social media graphics, and the Black Power Blueprint newsletter. We want you to be part of this team too. Bring your skills, your passion for social justice, enthusiasm to develop and grow your skills, which are critically needed to put forward the positive story of the Black community's unity, resilience, and fight for the right to be free. The leader of this promotions team is Janine, who's based in Oakland, California. We have team members here in St. Louis, like KC and myself. Chris is a videographer based in Connecticut who led the production of the video that we just showed. And there's Amir out of Philadelphia who manages the electronic sign, the texting, and produces the newsletter. Zoe in Seattle. And there is plenty of room for you on this team. Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right, next I'll be presenting on the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. All right, Uhuru and freedom greetings from the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, everyone. Uhuru is a Swahili word for freedom that we use to greet one another and our communities. So Uhuru. My name is Lukide Maku. I am the international president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. MPDM was founded, next slide. MPDM was founded in 1991 to defend the national democratic rights of African people following the government's unending war on African and colonized people, abrogating our national democratic rights. Here's a quote from a comrade out of Jersey who has said, before I joined MPDM in 2011, I had no idea what it meant to be a revolutionary. I had never been exposed to a theory that speaks to the interests of and explains the world through the eyes of the African working class. I joined MPDM and have been organizing for freedom ever since. So right on, Uhuru. Next slide. All right, and we're working on many projects and campaigns that we want you to get involved in. And one of the more important things that we do want you to get involved in is the Uhuru Ground Division. This is our outreach team, and some of the projects. Well, one of the main projects that we'll be working on this year is the Black Community Convention. Where coming out of this convention, we'll be pulling Africans from all over St. Louis, coming out of that convention with a Black community agenda. And so outreach is incredibly important. You can contribute your talents and skills to that. And for next slide. Yeah, become a volunteer today. We got a table right there to sign up and things like that. And Comrade Folkby or myself, you can speak to. Or
Just a second. Dr. Wallace. Okay. I think I'm next. Yes, absolutely. Uhuru. Again, I am Itinge Maele. I am the Chief of Staff for Chairman Amalia Shatella, and I am also responsible for coordinating his calendar, speaking engagements, interviews, and travel as the manager and coordinator for Uhuru Tours. And today I'm excited to share with you the volunteer opportunities that we have with Uhuru Tours. Next slide, please. The Uhuru movement was founded in 1972 by Amalia Shatella, who is the leader of the Uhuru movement and as the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party. For over 50 years, he has built organizations addressing every aspect of the lives of African people, struggling for the complete freedom of African people around the world. You can see in the picture on the left, where as head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, in the 1950s in Florida, he organized acts of civil disobedience. In the 1960s, he was leader of the Black Power movement, forming an organization similar to the Black Panther Party. In the 70s, he built the Uhuru movement, taking the word Uhuru, which is Swahili for freedom, from the African liberation struggle of the Mau Mau in Kenya, who were waging resistance against British colonialism. He did that to connect the struggle of African people on the continent with those African people everywhere they had been dispersed around the world, including the US. And on the right, you can see a picture of him today, or you can see him here. And he is based here in St. Louis now, and he leads the international movement from here. Uhuru, next slide. Again, the Uhuru Tours and Speakers Bureau coordinates events and tours for Chairman Amalia Shatella. The website features Chairman Amalia Satella's speeches, his writings. They include his latest books, one of which is Vanguard, the Advanced Detachment of the African Revolution and an Uneasy Equilibrium, the African Revolution versus Parasitic Capitalism. The Uhuru Tours and Speakers Bureau fills a unique niche by promoting the African People's Socialist Party and African internationalism, which is the political worldview of the African working class formulated by Chairman Amalia Shatella. And Uhuru Tours and Speakers Bureau gives African people and our allies on campuses and communities across the planet the the ability to hear the electrifying presentations of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and many other dynamic speakers of the Uhuru movement, and to join the growing movement for one united Africa. Next slide. Social media offers an excellent opportunity to share Chairman Omali Yeshitela with the world, but we need you. Please bring your creativity, your imagination, your skills, and your enthusiasm. Be part of creating a dynamic website that will hold countless videos, speeches, photos, create pamphlets, memes, posters, and more. Join the team. Go to www.uhurutours.com, click on Contact. A volunteer tab will pop down where you can sign up. You can call us also at 314-380-8013. We also have a table back in the back. Please fill out our questionnaire. The office of the chair wants you. Uhuru.
All right, next slide. That's me. So I just want to say, in 1978, the Uhuru movement was building the campaign to free Desi Woods, an African woman who defended herself and a friend from a colonial rape attack. A food booth at the San Francisco Pride Festival was a fundraiser for that campaign. This was the real birth of Uhuru Foods and Pies, which is part of an independent African economy that African people are building to once again own and control our own land, food production, and distribution. Next slide. So for 40 years, Uhuru Foods and Pies has been a mainstay at markets, festivals, and events in California and Florida. Thousands of volunteers and tens of thousands of supporters are part of this history. The Uhuru Bakery Cafe in Oakland, California in the 1980s was a political and cultural hub for delicious food where the chairman frequently spoke. This is the model for Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. Next slide. So as you can see, next slide. Here we go. So as you can see, our team and movement waged a fierce battle to get the permits to develop a bakery in this food desert here in the North Side for 10 months before construction could even begin. We secured the permits in hand in March of 2025. Next slide. So contractors worked all spring and summer to build a beautiful bakery and cafe. As you can see all that work there. Next slide. Now, look how beautiful this bakery cafe is. We look forward to people sitting on the patio out front or at one of the beautiful cherry counters inside, meeting friends and neighbors and sipping Uhuru Blend coffee. Next slide. In the last year, Uhuru Foods completed the build out of the bakery, sold food at Earth Day and Tower of Pride, gave away food at the Northside Independent Neighborhood Association block party, and to the community after the tornado. In November and December, we baked pies at the bakery. The community came out to get a preview of this beautiful location. We sold pies at cafes and breweries and Soulard Farmers Market. Next slide. So just want to let you all know that we need you to sign up at our table right over here in the back, so you can be on the front lines of the grand opening campaign. Or you can sign up online at tinyurl.com/bakery volunteer team to be a part of this work from anywhere in the country. Now, here's what you can do. You can promote the grand opening with social media and media, videos and photos and graphic design for flyers and posters. You can help organize the program and logistics for the grand opening. You can help bake and sell pies this spring, including for Pie Day, 3/14. You can also help develop the menu and test recipes. You can also help set up the point of sale system and kitchen flow, and of course, much more. We want to have a large festive community event that brings out the entire city. So we want you to be a part of this team. So we have team meetings on the first and third Tuesdays at the bakery at 5:30 p.m., which will be starting on February 3rd. Ooh. Table's right over here, right next to the display cabinet. You can buy all these delicious pies over here.
Uhuru, Comrade Alley, will be, coming up, and, she will be. It's Rage, okay. All right, Uhuru, Comrade Rage will be, coming up, Uhuru.
Uhuru! My name is Rage, and I'm the lead organizer for the African National Women's Organization here in St. Louis. ANWO is an anti-imperialist, anti-colonial organization for African women established by the African People's Socialist Party in 2015 to change the material conditions of our people. We organize African women into political life, not as victims or charity cases, but as leaders, builders, and strategists of the revolution. We are the movers, makers, and shapers of history. We are the front line of the revolution. That means food on the table, economic power in our hands, care for our children, and institutions we control. Next slide. One of the ways that we turn that vision into a reality is through the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market. This is not just a market. It's a front line of economic struggle. It's where African farmers, growers, and makers sell directly to our people, keep the value of what they produce, and circulate resources back into our community. We're building with people power, and we're recruiting a street team, the voice of the movement in the streets, 10 toes to the pavement, meeting people where they're at, sparking buzz through postering and flyering, media outreach, shaping the narrative, putting us on the radio, in the news, and on the public map. We need folks to help with logistics and produce, the backbone of the market, running the setup, the breakdown, and curating our free produce table. Video and photo documenting history as it's being made and building powerful visual records of our impact. Community programming. We're looking for poets, musicians, educators, and skill sharers who want to lead workshops, performances, or teach what they know to uplift the community. Next slide. All of this work comes together under Project St. Louis, our commitment to building liberated territory and self-sustaining economic development for African women right here. We're building toward a permanent liberation center while doing real work right now through clothing giveaways, repairs, workshops, and collective care. We're calling in builders. We need a demo crew, 10 toes in, rolling up sleeves for tear outs, debris removal, and site prep. Trade experts, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and skilled laborers that make liberation tangible. Finishers for painting, flooring, landscaping, and beautification that brings the vision to life. Master makers sharing practical daily skills from urban gardening to technical literacy for real self-reliance. Economic navigators leading workshops on cooperative wealth budgeting and independent resources. We're going to need village support for childcare and hospitality, making sure every sister can learn and lead without facing any barriers. This is how liberated territory gets built, by people with skills, people willing to learn, and people who know community care matters. Next slide. Decolonize is an African woman-led hair and body care brand rooted in self-determination, health, and economic independence. This isn't just a product line, it's economic infrastructure. Decolonize creates income opportunities for African women while helping fund movement work like Project St. Louis. We're building a distributed program that trains women to sell, organize, and build wealth collectively, not for corporations, but for ourselves and our community. You can plug in through branding, media, storytelling, tabling, and vendor events, our distributor training and outreach, product education, and community sales. This is what it looks like when the revolution builds and funds itself. If any part of this spoke to you, come talk to me and sign up. I got some t-shirts and some buttons. We are the movers, makers, and shapers of history. We the front line of the revolution. African women must lead. Oh.
Oh, hold on. I just wanted to comment here. We're taught to be beggars. I'm really struck by that in St. Louis. The US government attacked us. Some of you, maybe all of you know that. They claimed that the work we were doing to bring economic development to this community, to bring what was being talked about now in terms of the Black Power blueprint, et cetera, is something that the Russians came up with. That we're not working for Black people, we're really working for Russians. They explained the fact that they would attack us for trying to improve our community by saying, that's not why we're attacking you. We're not attacking for trying to improve your community. We're attacking you because the Russians told you to do it, which is the most ridiculous and asinine thing that you can hear. But in every instance, when they attacked us in Ghana, in Nkrumah, it's because they said the Russians were behind it. When they killed Lumumba in Congo, they said the Russians were responsible for it. So we're not supposed to have agency as a people. And that's something that they cannot tolerate. Because if we're not working for them, then we must be working for somebody else. And so we have an obligation here, because the thing that strikes me about St. Louis, I live on Redbud, and not too far from, is that Carter? And Redbud. And there's a church, in that area where every Thursday, people, the government, or some institutions or entities, they come in and they drop food and clothing and other kind of stuff on these pallets on the ground. So Black people can come and pick up your bananas or pick up this and that. And on the holidays, they even give away Christmas gifts. You can come and get your Christmas gifts from somewhere down here in West Florissant. You drive through St. Louis and you'll see, pick up a free hot dog. They said free hot dogs, here in St. Louis. But on the one hand, on the other hand, they talk about this being a food desert. Yeah. They have a situation where certain parts of the community here in North St. Louis, Africans try to exist off less than $5 a day, on one hand. But then they will attack us for trying to change that. 9 months a year it took to get a license, get permission just to build the bakery cafe here. And when we try to change our own circumstances, then they attack us, because they don't want us necessarily to die. Right. Because if a host dies, the parasite dies. Yep, yep. A parasite needs a host to live on. Yep. So they don't want us to die. They just don't want us to be able to feed ourselves. Right. And this is the fundamental contradiction. That's why I'm so impressed by what was just talked about in terms of the African National Women's Organization and the market that we have here, that One Africa, One Nation market, where we try to keep money circulating in our own community. We have this saying that we buy from each other and sell to everybody. Yeah. We buy from each other and sell to everybody. So our objective is not simply to buy black, as many people talk about. We say buy Black power. Yeah. And that's the struggle that we're involved in. So, and the same thing is generally true with the bakery, that our objective has to be growing the capacity to feed, clothe, and house ourselves. And that's what they don't want. Yeah. That's why they attack us on the continent of Africa, yeah, so that we can't feed, clothe, and house ourselves, so that even being able to grow our own food, etc., they destroy that ability. Yeah. And then they have this thing they call the United Nations, where people roll through on trucks wearing blue helmets and blue vests, etc., and they throw bleached flour off to the people. Yeah. After a while, the people forget how to grow their own food. Yeah. Now, because you got this entity that's doing that and acting as a substitute. So we're saying, just join. Let's be a part of the movement that King was about, that Malcolm was about, that Nkrumah, Lumumba were about, that Fannie Lou Hamer was about, to grow our own capacity as a people, because we cannot be permanent beggars. And it takes your dignity away from you to not be able to feed and clothe yourselves. They have systems that they say is supposed to be for welfare. you can get it, but you can't have a man in the house. The children can't have a father figure, whether it's the father or somebody else in the house, in order to get what they're supposed to be giving you. They're not giving you anything but more problems, more poverty, and keeping you on your knees. We don't want to be on our knees. And so this is one of the reasons they attack us. And I just want to, first of all, I'm self-critical for interrupting the program. But I just think it's really important. Our children have to be able to grow up to be dignified.
Yes.
They starve us, and then they pump drugs into the community. Yes. And then they say that they're coming to kill us because the drugs in the community that they put there. You ain't got no airplanes. How the hell the drugs get here? You understand? This is what's happening to us. So we take command of our own future. Make sure that our children can have a future, and make sure that we don't have to live in a permanent state of fear. Oh God, please let a good white man get elected next year. Or a good Negro who works for the white man. Or a good Negress who works for the white man. We don't need to be in that situation. We refuse to be in that situation. We will be a dignified and free people, because there's no dignity in slavery except resistance.
Oh, yeah. Uhuru, right on, right on. Next up, we have Comrade Ali, as well as Onozane Yeshitela, and she'll come in. And these comrades gonna come up and they gonna talk about the Shambhala La Uhuru Freedom Farm. Right on. Let's give them applause.
Uhuru. Before I begin, I just really want to also recognize my comrade Kitty Riley. Like Tim has said, you know, she was here on the ground with me when we first got here in St. Louis in 2017, and she's responsible for a lot of the projects that you see. And Kitty, I just want you to know that all the contractors, they don't want to deal with me. They said, "Where's Kitty? We want Kitty." So, you know, both Dwayne's, you know, all the contractors, George, Dwayne Lowe, Dwayne Thompson, Tony, the architect as well. They all sending their love to you, Travel, and it's sending their love to you and wishing you the very best. So I just want to say that before we get started. And I want to just recognize your Emmy as well. Thank you. So I want to introduce Shambhala Uhuru Freedom Farm. Is one of the latest Black Power Blueprint projects. It is an expansion of the Gary Brooks Black Power Community Garden, and along with the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe and the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market. It is part of three-pronged strategy of the African People's Education and Defense Fund to end the conditions of food apartheid, hunger, and lack of nutrition in our community. The team is led by myself, Stephanie, and Allison, who is up here now. Next slide.
Uhuru. Yeah, just salute the chairman's leadership today, and salute our president, Onozane Yeshitela, for the incredible vision for this farm and all the institutions of the Black Power Blueprint. And the farm started with one property on West Florissant, and APDF purchased 2 more adjacent lots, creating a third of an acre area. And we're working with Custom Foodscaping, who already removed the fencing and graded all 3 properties. We're moving now to complete the next steps, which includes building an entryway, beautiful entryway that they've created, and our big signage for the community to know that we're coming, bringing in water lines and irrigation, as well as the electricity. And they'll be bringing in soil and building the vegetable beds ready for spring planting. APDF is hiring, so if people know people who are gardeners, we want the African community gardeners to be able to participate in this incredible farm, and hiring a head gardener and also an assistant gardener. Next slide.
So I just want to also salute my leadership, my husband, Chairman Amalia Shatella, for this brilliant presentation, also for his lifelong struggles for Africa and African people to be free in his lifetime. So we're going to be having, we had 9 garden boxes across the street. So now we're building 24 rows on a 25-foot long beds to plant and cultivate vegetables. The beautiful design will also have a chicken coop, rage. We'll also have fruit trees, a berry patch, a produce stand, and a garden house and storage shed, a children's circle, a pavilion for training and events, and an area for the community to just come and relax and chill and just have a good time. It will be a destination. We'll be growing food for Uhuru Bakery and Cafe to use in our recipes, and also growing sage and other herbs to dry and sell as well.
So we really want to thank you and all the amazing volunteers who made the Gary Brooks Black Power Community Garden so successful for the last 6 years. We had 112 volunteers last year alone. And I do also want to salute Comrade Kitty, because she really coordinated that garden for many years and did an outstanding job. The community, we also had, as people know, we're able to give away about 1,000 pounds of food every year out of that small garden. So imagine what this farm is going to be able to do. And we want you to sign up. We have a booth with Uhuru Foods, partnering with Uhuru Foods over there. Sign up at the table, continue to volunteer as we go into 2026. And we're going to be transforming the Gary Brooks garden right here into a flower garden, so that it's going to be a really beautiful addition to the outdoor venue space where people can come and relax and enjoy the entertainment. We want you to come out and help build the Shambhala Uhuru Freedom Farm. And that's Swahili, that's not Russian, as the chairman said. And we'll have many, many work days. This is a huge project. We need everybody to jump in, and very exciting work to build the farm. We're going to have a farm stand built into the farm itself, so that people can come and buy the fresh produce and get seeds from us. And we also have some seeds to give away right here if people want to take some home, flowers and veggies that you can grow in your house. So people can also participate from wherever you are around the country, because we're going to be doing a lot of promotion and different work that people can participate in to help build this beautiful African farm. You can go to volunteer at blackpowerblueprint.org. Uhuru.
I want to also acknowledge our dear, dear, dear beloved comrade, the People's Alderman, Jesse Todd. Jesse Todd, who, from the very beginning, we met Jesse Todd at the Board of Aldermen's meeting when they were moving to cut the number of wards here. And Jesse recognized that what they were doing was cutting off the opportunities for African people to have some proximity to power. It was an anti-democratic movement and part of a strategic process they've been involved. And listen, we understood who the alderpersons were. Don't make a mistake about that, but we planned to replace them. But it was also part of this strategic move to turn St. Louis into a majority white city. And they've been moving on that. They're even using the tornado to gentrify our community, pushing African people and keeping African people out of the community. So I just wanted to recognize Comrade Jesse Todd. And I wanted to recognize also friends and supporters and members of the Universal African Peoples Organization, Zaki Baruti, organization, President General Zaki Baruti, who plays such a really important role in helping us to get established here, and who himself has been involved in struggle for 30, 40 years right here in St. Louis. Uhuru. Be like them. Let's build what King wanted right here. You can join.
Absolutely.
Right.
Uhuru. Uhuru, hasn't this been exciting so far? I mean, so everyone, and even those listening, and certainly here in St. Louis, if you wanted to find out who the Uhuru movement is, what this building stands for, what we do, you are getting a great glimpse of everything. And I encourage everyone, whether you're online or in the room, to make sure you visit the tables, sign up, get involved. We can bring this community back, and we will together. Uhuru. Yes, every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. we have open community meetings here. You're welcome to join. We prefer you be here in person, although you can get us online at the Burning Spear Media YouTube channel. But come, this is how we take back our power, and we do it together. Uhuru. So next, I want to bring up Jesse Neville, who's going to be presenting on the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the Reparations Investment Company. Uhuru.
Uhuru Chairman, also joined by Camille Clark, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Uhuru. Okay.
Well, Justice Gurmai.
Good question.
Yeah, so you can't take his daughter. So you can't take his off taking care.
Oh, no. What happened?
We're just getting our notes up here. Okay. All right. Uhuru. Uhuru, we're honored to be here from the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. My name is Jesse. I'm the national chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement.
And my name is Camille. I am the volunteer coordinator for the Reparations Investment Company.
Just want to salute this powerful event, salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela, and everyone who's presented. This has been an incredible event. It's an honor to be here. And from the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, we make the call to any white person who wants to take a stand for social and economic justice for African people, who wants to declare no more genocide in my name and join the fight for reparations, to join and volunteer with the Uhuru Solidarity Movement as your political home. Under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the organization for white solidarity with Black power, organizing in the white community for reparations to African people. Next slide. Okay, and I also want to salute Chairwoman Penny Hess, the chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee, and Comrade Kitty Riley, Uhuru Kitty. And just want to recognize that USM is the mass organization of the African People's Solidarity Committee, which was formed 50 years ago. 1976 was the founding of the Solidarity Committee. And today, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement has members in over 120 cities throughout the United States, white people who stand in solidarity with African, indigenous, and oppressed peoples, the struggle against colonialism and for self-determination.
So St. Louis is the headquarters of the Solidarity Movement. Volunteer work occurs at the Uhuru Solidarity Center at 2654 Gravois Avenue on the south side, as well as throughout all of St. Louis. Our slogan is Unity Through Reparations. If you're ready to bring your passion and energy to the movement for reparations, we have a place for you. Volunteering can include planning and making events happen and fundraisers, distributing literature in neighborhoods, staffing outreach booths and local fairs and festivals, organizing on school campuses, or creating digital media promotions. No matter what your skills or background are, if you're ready to get active in building the movement for white reparations to African people, please sign up with us. Now we want to tell you about the main campaign of USM in 2026, an exciting new program called the Reparations Investment Company.
Thank you, Camille. Yes, the Reparations Investment Company is the latest expansion of the Black Power Blueprint, led by APEDF Board President Onizane Yeshitela. In response to generations of colonial city policy attacks on African people in North St. Louis that deliberately left the once thriving North Side to deteriorate, the Reparations Investment Company's mission is rebuilding North St. Louis through African community self-determination, building support and sourcing funding for renovation that contends with gentrification. Reparations Investment Company will do this by acquiring, renovating, repairing, and transforming properties into beautiful homes for sale and rental in the community, thereby circulating resources within the independent African economy. And we are calling on you to sign up to be a part of the Reparations Investment Company. We're going to talk to you more specifically about how you can volunteer at our table right over here on the left here. And we want to talk to you about how you can volunteer with our two main renovations projects going on right now. This beautiful building on the left that you'll see where there will be, which will be developed into 4 apartments for rent, and on the right, a future home for sale. So we're going to talk to you about that.
The roofs have already been completed by some amazing community workers. We are currently working to get the HVAC, electrical, and plumbing done on these houses, and we'll be hosting volunteer days to help with painting, flooring, landscaping, and other aspects of the renovation process.
And special shout out to Angel and Elliott Constructions, who did the roofs on both of those properties. Let's give them a round of applause.
If you're ready to roll up your sleeves and contribute towards making reparations a reality in North St. Louis, we need you. Whether you're skilled already or just looking to gain some experience in renovations work, all hands are welcome. We are looking for architects, contractors, and tradespeople to contribute expertise, and student groups, churches, and businesses to organize a team to take on a phase of the project. Our first volunteer day will be to start approaching businesses for donations. And that can be paint trays, brushes, other supplies, sanders, gloves, masks, making sure that our workers are safe and creating really beautiful work that is led by Chairman and DC Ona. This first volunteer day will take place on Saturday, February 7th, and additional volunteer days have been planned through February, March, and April. Come check us out at our table and be part of making reparations a reality in 2026.
All right. Thank you.
Uhuru, right on. Thank you so much, comrades. Next up, we'd like to bring up President Onezene Yeshitela and Stephanie Midler to present on the African Independence Workforce Program, and as well as the Black Power building. Uhuru.
Thank you. Okay, so the African Independent Workforce Program, the mission of this is to reverse the negative income impact of the colonial economy and the prison system. The African Independent Workforce Program is training members of our African community to contribute to a prosperous future through the development of our independent, liberated economy.
So through AIWP, the Black Power Blueprint is recapturing African labor to build the African nation, bringing African workers into the revolutionary process. The slogan of AIWP is, quote, "Our labor, our future." Building a collective economy for the entire African community is what distinguishes our program from other workforce programs.
We are creating opportunities for formerly incarcerated African men and women to receive training, gain employment, and become stakeholders in a prosperous economy for our entire community.
So by providing training within the programs of the Black Power Blueprint institutions, like Uhuru Bakery and Cafe, like Uhuru on the Move, like Shambhala Uhuru Freedom Farm, Uhuru Planet, Black Power 94.1 Radio, and so many others that you've heard about today, we have the capacity to provide AIWP participants with any of the jobs that are on this list, with any of that work experience. But AIWP is not just about jobs. It's about returning agency back into the hands of the African community.
So next up, we have the Buy Black Power program that we're starting. The AIWP doesn't just help people earn a paycheck. It helps them to see themselves as builders, rebuilding our Black community and bringing power and self-determination back into the community. And we are really excited to tell you about the latest institution of the Buy Black Power Blueprint that will, help bring training centers to the community, and also the Buy Black Power program that's going to be a retail space where everything that you see that we are about is going to be Buy Black. It's going to be revolutionary, and it's going to be really, really beautiful, just like all the institutions of the Black Power Blueprint.
All right. So the Buy Black Power retail store, like President Ona is saying, will sell all the amazing products of our movement, including furniture and home accessories that have been upscaled with traditional African designs, otherwise known as our famous Enzo furniture line. Uzi products, which are one-of-a-kind clothing pieces, hand-painted or sewn to incorporate bold African style. Uhuru Planet t-shirts, journals, patches, pins, tote bags, Vanguard 7 lipsticks, African flags, red stars, berets, Burning Spear publications, the Burning Spear newspaper, Decolonase hair and skin products that Rage talked about from Anwo, and so much more.
So our table is right here to the right of me. The beautiful pillows that we have. We also have designs by Enzo that we talked about as well. Everything that you see is going to be African, and everything is going to be beautiful in that store. And you're going to be, every day you're going to say, I got to go to that store and see what's different and unique, because we will have different and unique items. So look at the beautiful Enzo pieces, pillows. We also will be selling beautiful crochet items by our own Ciali with all power promotions and creation. Did I say that right? Yeah. This retail space will have everything Black and revolutionary and be beautiful and welcoming. It will be a space you just don't want to leave, and you would just want to spend time in. Look around and see your neighbors, and this space will be right here on North St. Louis on Natural Bridge.
All right, so this amazing space will also be a training center for AIWP participants who want to learn retail skills or how to create products to sell through their own artistry and creativity. Not only that, but AIWP will be providing entrepreneurial training to show people how they can start their own businesses and be in charge of their own futures. So how can you fit into this exciting new institution? Even though the Buy Black Power retail store is still under renovation, we want to start now to secure donations of furniture, home goods, and materials to start creating the Enzo products. So we need volunteers, whether you're in person or volunteering remotely, to help us get donations of good quality, gently used furniture and home goods that we can then transform into the Enzo products. If you're interested, you can sign up with us. You can search for items, you can help contact people, help create emails, promotional pieces for donations, help us pick up items. We need people to help us do this.
We also need painters, people who want to, make jewelry like bracelets and earrings, screen printers, and people that know how to operate sewing machines. We want to make our own pillows and redesign clothing pieces. Are you interested in designing? Are you creative? We need you.
So come see us at our table during the volunteer portion of the agenda. We have beautiful Buy Black Power bumper stickers and buttons for people who visit the table. You can check out the Enzo items. If you're online, please email us at volunteer@blackpowerblueprint.org with your interest, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, so please join us. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. I don't know what's going on here. Keep moving. Weren't those some great presentations? Okay, well, now, I hope that everyone is excited and eager to see how they can participate. We've got lots of tables here. You've got lots of information. So I know that you're eager to sign up. So I want to make sure that you have that opportunity. So for the next 20 minutes, we're going to open it up so you can go and visit all of the tables, pick up literature, fill out the questionnaire, get involved. And for those who are joining us remotely, please take a moment. The chat moderator should have been providing all types of information for you in the chat. wherever you feel like you fit in, or if you want to be part of everything, then volunteer for everything, but get signed up. So, again, you got 20 minutes. Feel free to get up, go visit all the tables, get some refreshments. When we come back, we want to hear from all of you. We want your questions, your comments, etc. So I don't want to take away your time. So go. Uhuru, visit the tables, sign up, ask questions. I'll meet you back at the Chairman Amalia Shatela's table. There's a questionnaire there if you want to sign up there. Where's my little cheat sheet here? Let's see, are people putting stuff in the chat? Let's see, if you want to, for those that are,
No questions yet.
Okay, no, but are they putting in how people can sign up online already? Okay, so for the Office of the Chair and Uhuru Tours, please go to www.uhurutours.com/volunteer. For the African National Women's Organization, please email info@anwouhuru.org. For Uhuru Foods and Pies and Uhuru Bakery Cafe, go to tinyurl.com/bakery volunteer team. And for all the Black Power Blueprint departments, go to volunteer@blackpowerblueprint.org, and let us know where you want to volunteer. And again, go ahead.
Also, for everybody that's here,
Talking to the
Uhuru Bakery Cafe table, we do have delicious pies for sale.
Make sure to see Siali in the back. We've got Uhuru Foods and Pies here. So if you didn't take advantage of getting a pie over the holidays, don't miss this opportunity today. Uhuru. Okay.
Yeah. You're taking it 20 minutes. No.
Just quickly, that's okay. Yeah. And basically kind of work for themselves, you know. Yeah.
Yes, and
That's what I was asking to, when they open, they kind of open up. Yeah. But it's basically, oh, okay. They have the store. I was like, rubber. Like rubber, GMO. It's sad. It's a killer. Yes.
It's been a long time. It should be long.
Okay. Yeah. I know, but I know it's for you to call. That's why I said, I'll be here. But are they home or are they home? Yeah. You don't have to lie. It's 1200. Sounds great. I'll say it. Yeah, sounds good down for there. What's that? JT.
Yes. And then it's getting and then I recognize it, and oh, this is April. Oh man. Just open it, sit down. Yes. Books. That's amazing. That's amazing. Whoa. Okay, so this one is
I went to the library. That's the first time I saw
Uhuru, if we can get everybody back to their seats, please. We want to get to the portion of the program where you have the opportunity to participate. We can get your questions. Huh? Oh. Uhuru, if we can get everyone back to their seats, please. And hopefully we got people back online. We want to open up the next part of the program. Okay, is anybody ready? Yeah. 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 Yeah, if they'll use that mic and we'll just. Uhuru, everyone, if we can get people back to their seats, please. We want to open up the next portion of the program. We really want to hear from you. So grab a snack, some water, and bring it back to your seat, and let's see if we can answer some questions for you. Uhuru, again, I hope everyone was able to visit all of the tables, that you signed up, that you picked up some literature. Those that are online, I hope you have gone ahead and put your questions in the chat, found out where you can where you fit in at, where you want to volunteer at, or if you signed up for everything. That's great. But we want to hear from you at this portion of the program. And what I'd like to ask, and don't all rush up to the mic at one time, but you're welcome to. We just want to find out from you how you learned about today's event, what your experience has been thus far, what do you want to see in this community, where you signed up to volunteer, and or do you have any questions for the chairman? So please feel free to line up here at the mic. Chat moderators, if you could let us know if we got anything online. That would be, we'll get those questions asked. Anybody, any questions here? Feel free.
What I need to do is, I introduced Comrade Zaki Baruti and members of the Universal African Peoples Organization earlier on. But what I failed to do was to acknowledge Comrade Sister Sophia, who is not just a member of the organization, she's a co-founder of the organization. And she has been playing such an incredible role here. She dragged Comrade Jesse Todd. She introduced Comrade Jesse Todd to the Africa question. She, what do you call it, drafted him. She knocked on, awakened him in the morning and said, "You are now a member of the St. Louis Committee on Africa." And she started the All African People's Revolutionary Party here in St. Louis. Just a remarkable comrade. I just wanted to acknowledge her, and I failed to do that when everybody was here. But she's still here. I'm glad to see that. Yeah. When I came here, first, some people were a little distressed because I characterized myself as a revolutionary. Comrade Sister Sophia said, "I'm a revolutionary too." And she used to say that to me every time we would meet, you know. So I just wanted to make up for that understatement in terms of who she is and who she has been. And one of the reasons, I mean, Jessica has been involved for a long time in the struggle, in the movement. But one of the reasons Jessica is here is because of what Comrade Sophia has done in introducing him to the Africa question and helping to broaden his whole worldview. So thank you, sister.
Uhuru. Go ahead, Brother Gregory.
Yeah, Brother Chair, there's an iconic photograph of Dr. King and Malcolm X. And often when we've seen that photo, it seems to portray two giants of the African community who are moderating their different opinions. And it seems to me, based on comments that you made earlier, that this actually was showing the growth of these two great men on the African principle. Could you elaborate a little more, or do you have any other information regarding that?
Uhuru. I just want to say that I've come to understand even more recently about the relationship between Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King. It was much more involved than that photo, than what we've been led to believe. They actually met on more occasions than that. And from what I've since come to understand is that Malcolm X was one who recognized that it would be better for them not to appear to be so close. And I'm trying to remember where this event happened, where somebody said that, Andrew Young commented on how when they went to someplace, the ones who were there after the Nobel Peace thing, the King got, and he was in New York, and people waiting to see him included, I think he said, Rockefeller and Malcolm X. And that Malcolm talked to Dr. King about how it would be better for them not to be recognized as being that close. And so in many ways, they were good cop, bad cop, as far as the state was concerned. And I had serious differences with the approach that Dr. Martin Luther King used, and had come to conclude that it was the approach that was the fundamental thing that was different about them. But it was not the approach. The approach was different, but that was not the essence of their relationship or the essence of what they were about. And like I said, King was there. King was there when Nkrumah at his inauguration as the first president of Ghana. King was there. King met with Ben Bella, who was the revolutionary leader who became first leader of president of Algeria. King met with him. There are photos of him and Ben Bella together. And again, King is the one who raised the question of Vietnam. And from his platform, King was condemning the United States as the greatest purveyor of violence on earth. So he used his platform of nonviolence to challenge and target the United States for its violence. And actually, on April 7th, on April 8th, 1984, the year 1964, the year before they killed him, the very day, he made this presentation in New York. What was the name of that church? Riverside Church. That says that he was having a struggle maintaining his stance of nonviolence. He said, because Africans are coming up to him saying, Dr. King, how can you be asking us to be nonviolent as America is in Vietnam? So he was moving away from that. And he had to move away from it. It's not just that he had to move away. King was different from Jesse Jackson. People have come to understand who King was based on what they've seen later, like forces like Jesse Jackson or forces like Al Sharpton. And there were even some people who I knew from Atlanta in particular who were with Atlanta as SCLC's headquarters, but SNCC had a headquarters in Atlanta as well. And there are some people who I knew from that place that King was so different. And he was somebody who was not about exploitation or even about self-aggrandizement or trying to get values and resources for himself. He was not about that. And so I really appreciated him for that. But he annoyed me because King could make a speech. It was extraordinary. King can make a speech about nothing that would give you goose pimples. You understand? And so he was very good at what he did. But he did more than what was obvious to some of us. So he was there in a very good and profound way. He was there. And that's why they killed King. I mean, and people should remember, they killed Malcolm in 1964. Then they killed King in 1968. There was this point in the 1960s where this government was murdering African revolutionaries all around the world, from Patrice Lumumba to overthrowing and ultimately, in my view, killed Kwame Nkrumah, Fred Hampton, some 30 members of the Black Panther Party, I think in 1968 alone. So they were assassinating people all around to decapitate a movement. They didn't want to just kill individuals, but in killing the individuals, their objective was to kill the ideas that these individuals represented. So King had to change. He didn't have any choice because the world was changing, because Black people were changing, because even when he was alive, the emergence of revolutionary organizations, the Black Power movement, the Black Panther Party, all of these forces were rising up. And he, in order to maintain his place in the world, he not only had to adopt some of that, but try to get in front of it.
Thank you so much. Next we have, yes, the People's Alderman, Uhuru.
First of all, let me see, recognize the chairman, and I just came to say that, of course, I belong to other Black Power organizations in the 60s, but we were nationalists, and they're limited to St. Louis area, to be perfectly frank, and the Panthers, of course, on a national level. But my real consciousness on the Pan-Africanist level, I wanted to recognize was Sophia. She woke me up, I never forget it, on a Sunday morning. She had a group, a dance group at the center I was running. I was running a community center. And she woke me up on a Sunday morning. I was sleeping. She said, "Come." She just woke me up and said, "Come on, you drive, you go into this the St. Louis Committee on Africa, and all of a sudden I hear about all these liberation groups." I was so into community work. I knew absolutely nothing. I wasn't conscious of Pan-Africanism, and I will be perfectly frank. besides all the program, all the things that the Uhuru movement, when I met them, wonderful movement, I met the Uhuru movement, I was more receptive.
Yes.
To the Uhuru movement because of the Pan-Africanism. This Sister Sophia here made I was receptive, but I had to get a Uhuru movement credit too. The Uhuru movement recognized that we had been fighting in St. Louis against war reduction for since '83.
Yeah.
But it had came about in '57. But the Uhuru movement right away adopted keeping 28 wards because they understood that the system was attacking because they wanted to make it more difficult and more costly to run candidates and to take over the city.
Yeah.
And I saw that I would be an opportunistic too, and that I saw Uhuru movement as an opportunity for have somebody who would go replace the people who were in charge, the black politicians.
Yes,
Frank was selling our community out with the white business establishment. So also just keeping 28 and then independence. But Sophia Gid been one of the main ones fighting for independence when I saw the Uhuru fighting for community independence. Made that and then having the Todd plan when then I came to the Uhuru meeting and saw the development going on, not just talking about it, but actually developing. And I saw this as that was one other reason I was attracted. And when I looked around and I saw this independent development and then whites and blacks working together and whites under the leadership and the resource, and I saw the works of the Uhuru movement. That was the other reason this would influence me to become a lifetime member.
Right on.
I was at first a member, I have to be honest, when I looked around, I had a card, I came to the meeting, I had just a regular yearly membership. I don't even remember asking to join, but I looked in my wallet. I was going through my wallet, I looked it up, I said, wait a minute, I'm a member. Well, and then I looked around and
so Sophia was not the only one drafting.
I got drafted. I'm not gonna say I did because I don't remember asking to become a member, but I did have this card. I still have the card in case anyone would want to see it. It said regular member. I said, well, and then Uhuru needed another $800 or $900 so they could reach their goal. And so I said, let me become a lifetime member. They're going to travel anyway. I want to thank Sophia for getting my consciousness up. And I want to thank the Uhuru movement for drafting me too. I said, well, since I'm drafted, I do this for life.
Uhuru, right on. Thank you so much, People's Alderman Jesse Todd. We still have a few more minutes, and this is an open mic. Folks can come up. What did you learn today from this event? What was your experience? What do you want to see in this community? What did you sign up for to be a volunteer for? Do you have any questions for the chairman? For both, folks in person as well as folks online. Or
do we have anything online, Jesse? Well,
No question.
but everybody, any comments? Are we on YouTube? We're on YouTube? Well, don't everybody rush up here, everybody signed up for everything, right? And online, you all volunteered, you signed up for everything, so next week, tomorrow, actually, we're gonna give everybody assignments, so. Anything else? But I wanna say that I just think this was a fantastic program today. Just a really motivating event for someone that's already in the movement, and to be able to have to be able to see everything, and just knowing and being inspired by the chairman's words, reinvigorated actually. Understanding more of what this day means and really what we should be fighting for. I hope that everyone had the same and or similar experience. That if you're online, reach out to us. You don't have to be in St. Louis, but if you're in St. Louis, we want you in this place. We want you signing up. And every Sunday from 3 to 5, you are welcome to join us for our open community meetings where you have the opportunity to talk to a lot of these comrades again and more often, but you also have the opportunity to get involved in the work. You get the opportunity to participate in the planning of what we want this community to look like. So, and again, as I said, if you're online, it doesn't prevent you from being able to volunteer, and we encourage you to. So anybody, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hello, I'm Camille, volunteer coordinator for the RIC, Recreation Investment Company. And I wanted to just express such profound honor and gratitude for being able to be here today and to see all of the amazing work that happens throughout the various organizations under the umbrella of leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Deputy Chairman Onazane Yeshitela, and that there is so much power in being able to hear that generational knowledge that comes from people who were there. Chairman knows these people, and a number of people here know the people who started or who were working so hard in that movement. And so to be able to hear that and know that that knowledge is not painted by what some white man wants to decide is going to go in my history book, but that's true information that was there. And it's just such a valuable thing to have, and that we can pass that on to the people around us and know that that's not something that's been painted or whitewashed in any way, but that's a true experience. That's so valuable to have such a firsthand resource and stuff. So I just really want to appreciate and salute being able to have that, and the effort that the chairman goes to share that with all of us is just.
Or Comrade Ciali.
I just want to really appreciate this day happening. An opportunity for people to come and see the different institutions within the Uhuru movement. And I was at a MPW rally a couple of Sundays ago, and there was talk about how the city's got plans for this North Side community. And you see what we're trying to do in the North Side. We're trying to revitalize. I'm just trying to and really encourage, people that are online as well as people here. We need to really get on board with all of these projects because, the city has a plan for us, but we also have to thwart those plans of the city. Because if we don't tell the city, we can't do that. It'll continue to run roughshod over the community. And we've had enough of that. We've had too much of that over. St. Louis has done dirty the African community since forever, but especially in the 1930s when they started redlining and eventually destroying, Black neighborhoods all over the city. And you just have to really, look at all the different institutions and what these institutions are doing, because it's not just us clapping our gums, we're actually making these things happen. And we want you to be a part of that process to continue to make things happen. Because the more we continue to participate in making these things happen, the more the city has its back foot. So I just want to put that out.
Thanks so much. We have another person coming up.
Permission to speak. My name is Ronnie Amin, and Uhuru. The brother asked what things would we like to see in our community. And for me, the answer is the things that are being done in this building with these people. The self-determination that is exhibited by the work of these people is extraordinary, even in the face of so much opposition in our city. I remember there was a lot of opposition to the establishment of the bakery downstream, right? So many people within the community who would derive benefit from a legitimate and esteemed business such as a bakery. And yet, some of those same voices are silent as city officials try to steal and take resources of the people and funnel them to corporate and business interests downtown and to other communities. So what is happening here? The sheer self-determination is what I would want to see in my community.
Right on.
Even when the devil is at the front door, even when the opposition seems to be so enormous, the level of fight within the people is the thing that I want to see in my community. I trust the church. I trust this organization. And I was in a house just chilling. There are a lot of things going on in the city. But to be honest, man, I'm kind of tired of some of the people and the organizations that profess to represent the interests of the people, but they only searching for platform and prestige. So I sat in the house until I remembered this event. And I threw on my shoes, I almost did brush my teeth. I brushed my teeth. And I had to get down here to show my support. And it's important, not only at the event, but continually. Not only in the space, but in the street when bad things are mentioned to our comrades. It's important that we defend them even when they're not present. So I just wanted to say, man, Uhuru, I appreciate the work that's being done, and I have lifelong solidarity with the chairman and the movement.
Uhuru. Uhuru. And last but not least, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Comrade Fofi.
Uhuru, comrade.
Uhuru.
All right, that's better. I just want to say to us that are doing the work, people are watching. Yes. They may not say anything to you, they may not pat you on the back, but people are watching. And when you stand for something, if people look around, they see what you're standing for is for them and all that the Uhuru movement stands for. I sent out emails and texts and gave out flyers. And one of my coworkers came in today and my neighbors. And that tells me where I'm doing my work, where I work at and where I live. So all I can do is say, you just don't know who's watching you. And if you misstep, they're gonna know it. And if you step right, they're gonna know that too. And if you're lucky, they'll come in and want to step with you.
Yep. Comrade, Midwest Regional Representative, Kabula Mutombo is in the building. Go ahead, Comrade.
Kabula Midwest Region Rep, and
We're just taking out of the thing. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, I just want to say, I mean, King and listening to King and Malcolm X, they so inspiring. And that's how this movement is. So I'm here to work too. I'm here to volunteer, put it to work to make it actualized and by, bringing the volunteers out, being engaged with the community and winning bills.
All right. Comrade Kabula, the first thing I heard about Comrade Kabula, coming out from another comrade was this comrade was the hardest working comrade you've ever seen. And coming into the Midwest region, that's the truth. Uhuru, comrade, Uhuru. And I see a comrade Chairwoman Penny Hess, Uhuru.
just really want to salute Deputy Chair Onisane Chatella, this profound event today. And it's an honor to be here. And I just want to salute Chairman Omali Chatella, who is the leader also of the African People's Solidarity Committee. And to say that the chairman said some pretty sharp and tough things about white people today, as he often does. And it was true, but it's true. And what the chairman did with the African People's Solidarity Committee, among other things, is to show that white people too can take responsibility for the history, for the reality of what we have done. What we have done, all of the ways that we have participated in the colonialism, the colonial mode of production, the parasitism, the taking something for ourselves at the expense of African people, and you know, being part of slavery and genocide and colonialism and war around the world, and that the chairman created an opportunity for white people to jump off that pedestal and join on the side under the leadership of the African working class in a principled way, not as the leaders, as a representative of the colonizers with the responsibility to go into the white community to organize other white people like ourselves. And we look at this period, we see what the Black Power Blueprint represents as real political solid on the ground political power against the African community. We look at all of the crisis of this system right now. This is the place for white people to be. It is an honor to be under the leadership of the African working class in action, the Uhuru movement, Deputy Chair Onisane Chatella, Chairman Omali Chatella, the African Revolution. That's the side of history that many white people want to know. So I just want to say, Uhuru. We are winning in unity through reparations.
Uhuru. Right on. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone for all those amazing comments and as well as inputs. Now, I would like to invite our dear Chairman, Chairman Omali Chatella, back up to the stage to close out this special event today with some closing remarks. Uhuru.
First of all, I just wanted to express my appreciation to Comrade Deputy Chairwoman and the Black Power Blueprint and all that's being done here, because you know the thing is that theory that cannot be put into practice is worthless. It's absolutely worthless. It's as useless as used toilet paper. The fact is that the significance of theory is the fact that it does say to what end, but it can be put into practice. And one thing I appreciated that Karl Marx said a long time ago, that philosophers have only explained the world in certain ways. The thing is to change the world. And if your explanation doesn't contribute to change in the world, it's meaningless. And so this is one of the things that I think that makes this so important. Comrade Deputy Chair has taken the theory of African internationalism and applied it in a real practical way to strategic objectives that's been established by the African People's Socialist Party for the liberation of us all. I think that's important. Also, we're taking King back. This whole notion of King, somehow you recognize Martin Luther King or the day of service, you know, and what they mean by that is that the day of perfecting the oppression that we already have, perfecting the system that we exist, service inside this system, but not something that assaults the system, as Martin Luther King did on a regular basis. There's nothing that they say about this day of service that recognizes King's acknowledgement that America is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. They don't say that, but they don't talk about King when they attack a country like Venezuela and kidnap the president. Kidnap the president and his wife, humiliate them, and then drag them before some kangaroo court, as they want to call it, and then indict them and pretend that it's not a kidnapping, that it's not war, because according to the laws that they created, they indicted him.
Yeah.
And since he was indicted, it was an arrest that they were making of a criminal who's been indicted. But the fact is, the colonizer makes the law.
Yeah.
That's what colonialism is. The colonizer makes the law. But colonialism itself is illegitimate. And that's what we have to recognize. When Nat Turner was captured in 1831, his slogan was, strike at night and spare no one. When they captured Nat Turner, they put him on trial. They took him to court and put him on trial. Now, that's really interesting because they found Nat Turner guilty. He said, I don't feel guilty. But the thing is, even if they had found him innocent, he still would have been enslaved. So this is the kind of relationship we have with this social system. And it reminds me, of one of the things that we saw in the film talking about the Montgomery bus boycott. Started in 1954, didn't it? And as I understand it, they were so successful that in 1956, the Supreme Court ruled that the segregation on the buses was unconstitutional. What does that mean? What it means is that they could have ruled that in 1933. They could have ruled that in 1953. But what happened was they had to make the law fit the circumstances of the oppressed. Because if it had not been for Black people being in the street, shutting that bus system down and encouraging and inspiring Black people all around the world, we wouldn't have been, that Supreme Court wouldn't have moved. So the whole notion is that something in the law of this country that's biblical, Moses went up to the mountaintop and etched out something in stone and brought back laws that are responsible for our judgment today. Nonsense. It's because people were in motion and saying that you have this ultimatum. You can either fix this situation that you have, or we're going to bring it down. And that's where we are all the time. I want to say that this holiday, this holiday that they have given us, we have to transform it to make it what we need for it to be. And that's what we're doing here today. That's what I have to do every day. That's what I have to do moving forward. Because pretty soon, even this holiday is something that they are going to take away. I'm telling you, that's what colonialism is. And law is simply the opinion of the ruling class. If you want to change the law, change the opinion of the ruling class or take it over yourself, right? So I think it's important to recognize that. And I acknowledge Jesse Todd, and I acknowledge the incredible work that's being done here, Comrade Sophia and Universal African Peoples Organization and others that's done this really important work. I mean, for years and years and years, that makes it possible for us to do what we do today. And I think that part of what we're engaged in right now is different. We've changed St. Louis. We have changed St. Louis. And we recognize that there are other people who've been a part of this, but we have changed St. Louis. Comrade Seale stood here and says that, well, we want to call on people to participate in develop. We are developing St. Louis. Look at what's changed. And this is not some fantasy. We're not asking you to do something extraordinary in terms of imagining this. All you got to do is walk out the door. All you got to do is walk down West Florissant and see what's happening in North St. Louis as a consequence of our presence here in struggle, carrying out the mission that people like King and Malcolm and all the other Black people in particular, but other colonized people around the world who've been fighting to change our circumstances under this horrendous social system. One reason they have a problem with Cuba and with Venezuela and with the Uhuru movement is this whole philosophical presumption that you can't be successful without the white man. Yeah, you can't be successful without the white man. If the white man is not running it, you can't be successful. That's in the DNA of this whole social system. And we don't believe that. I want to say that we self-determination that Comrade Ronnie Almin just mentioned is not just to be seen in the institutions that we've created in terms of economic development, et cetera, but it's also to be seen in how we've dealt with the resistance to the creation of these institutions. The institutions represents independence. When the white man takes over to steal everything you got and then makes the laws to make it illegal for you to try to take it back. That's what they did in Venezuela. You stole our oil. What damn oil? What oil? You understand? And when it comes to it, how in the hell can they claim oil in Venezuela? Was no such thing as Venezuela before the enslavement of African people and our dispersal around the world. That's how Venezuela got created. That's how Cuba got created. That's how what they call the Americas got created as a part of that process. You talking about somebody stole your oil. No, you stole the oil and then stole the country and then made a law against me taking the oil back, taking the country back. When I tried to take the oil, I broke the law. When Nat Turner, who was enslaved legally, slavery was not illegal. And if he had waited for the law to be changed, we'd be in bad shape today. One reason they have to move the way they move today, because they remember Nat Turner, even if you don't. And so I think it's important. And when they said we couldn't have the bakery because a so-called neighborhood association that that wasn't even registered as a neighborhood association, said that we can't have one. Despite the fact that 100 people signed on for it, they say you can't have one. So self-determination means that we create our own neighborhood association that can say that you can have it. That's self-determination. And that's what's represented by Comrade Ciala and the people in this room. Yes. And I appreciate also, and part of it means too, these Negro dynasties that they've created in St. Louis, I'm going to talk about it. These Negro dynasties, you got Negroes who've been, Jesse Todd would tell you that the power has been here for us, but it's been Negroes who've been occupying these positions on the wards, the older persons. They controlled it. They had the ability to control it. And then they got these dynasties of Negroes who brag about they've been here for 40 years on the board. Why the hell would you brag about it? You see what St. Louis is and you bragging about it? You claiming responsibility for that? So anyway, busting up these dynasties. We don't give a damn about it. We care about the people. If you stand between us and the people, we'll have to deal with that. Yeah. And also, really appreciate the comments made by Comrades Jesse Neville and Comrade Chairwoman Penny Hess. In part because we're not explaining anymore and apologizing to white people for nothing. We haven't done anything to white people. You can't come up with lynchings. You can't come up with stolen labor. You can't come up with brutality. You can't come up with humiliation by African people against white people anywhere. Never happened. And but white people are so thin-skinned because they're accustomed to being the subjects of history, and we are the objects of history. They're objects. They've objectified us. They've defined who we are and how we should be. They've created whole schools for doing that. They created a thing called anthropology in order to show why African people, a school of it, That's where anthropology came from, to show the inferiority of African people as compared to white people. Did you know that? That's the origin of it. And yet white people are so thin-skinned. White people created the so-called gook, the wetbacks, the niggers, the spear chunkers. White people created the coons, etc. And yet you can't say a damn thing that's true about this relationship without white people being upset about it. Thin skin. They have been the subjects of history and we've been the objects of history. They have objectified us. But now that I've got the power and ability to speak, and this is not something that's easily come by. You see, they tried to put me in prison for 15 years for talking. That's anti-biblical. For those of you who believe in the Bible, you know that's against the Bible, don't you? Because in the word, in the beginning, there was what? There was the word. And the word was in God. The word was God. And the word was in God, and the word was God. And so if you can't say the word, you can't even say God according to them, but they would put me in prison for 15 years. It's in violation of everything. So, and white people were born as oppressors. There was no such thing as white people before slavery and colonialism. It's a recent invention that came about as a consequence of the enslavement of African people. And so this is where you see the birth of the white man. There was no white man before then. So this whole thin-skinned thing is thin-skinned because the truth is something that's intolerable to the oppressor. But what we've done is created a situation where we've allowed people who are identified as white to come on the right side of history and to join with the oppressed peoples of the world. Because before then, you've heard people say, I don't understand it. How do white people vote against their own interests? They vote for all kinds of stuff. They say it's against their own interests. Why? Because they haven't had an opportunity to join on the right side of history. And the right side of history is concentrated in the colonial question, the colonial issue. And so what we found now with the development of the solidarity movement, with the development of the solidarity movement is permission for settlers and colonizers to get on the right side and to fight against their own ruling class by uniting under the leadership of the African Revolution. So this has been an incredibly significant meeting. I want to invite everybody here to be aware of April 17th through the 19th, which is going to be an international plenary of the African People's Socialist Party. It's going to be held in St. Louis. It's going to be held at, what's the name of that church? What's the name of the church of Tumpe? Say it again.
Center of Divine Love.
Center of Divine Love. If that ain't Martin Luther King, I don't know who is. And so it's going to be the 3 days of the 17th through the 19th. And it's going to be extraordinary. People will be here from all around the country and participating from all around the world, trying to take us in the same place that this event on today was transporting us to. So thank you so much. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Incredible work. We don't know what we'd do without you. Thank you, comrades. Uhuru. African women. African women.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Chairman, for those closing remarks. Thank you, all of you that are here, for joining us today. For everyone that's online, don't forget, there's always time and still time for you to sign up. Put it in the chat. Chat moderators, whoever's controlling the Zoom, please make sure we save the chat just in case there's anything in it. Board President Onizene Ishatella, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to be part of this program today, and thank you to all of you. What you got? Because we gonna close.
Okay. Well, right on. Yeah, I mean, she already said everything, Comrade Kingate, but But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Please do visit the table, get some pie, get some pie, get some pie. Anyways, with that being said, Uhuru.
All right. Yeah, I'm about to.